Done.
Welcome everyone to the October 28th edition of the Agones community meeting. We're going to go ahead and kick it off from the top of the agenda. I put a couple things on the agenda this morning. Please feel free to stop to the agenda if you want to talk about it. The first couple things are sort of like just quick announcements. The team release was between the last meeting and now. I just wanted to highlight that it has a number of enhancements. It's got improved gRPC support. So if you have been running into trouble with the gRPC allocator service, that has some fixes now. It has a new feature promotion to stable and a new feature in alpha, all of which are definitely worth checking out. I also wanted to point out that 1.19 is coming soon, between now and the next meeting, I think, and it's going to have support for Kubernetes 1.1, so we're upgrading Kubernetes again, which leads me to the second item on the agenda, which is Kubernetes 1.21, which seems to have made our continuous integration test a little bit less stable. And we're seeing more flakes than we were before. We're slowly trying to work our way through those. Mark said yesterday to fix one of them. Our main concern here is whether or not these new flaky tests are exposing bugs in our actual controller code, or whether they are just really sort of tests that are in our test harness that are not written to be reliable or good enough to run against the cluster as the underlying cluster changes a little bit. In this case, the first looks like it was being caused because the underlying GKE cluster was using a little bit more system level resources. Like there were some data sets, there were some pods running on every node that were now taking a little bit more space up. And so that made one of the tests start to fail often. So working through those, so far we haven't seen any indication that it's the Agones controller that's causing problems as opposed to tests not being resilient enough. But certainly, if we do find that, this will also give us a chance to fix those problems, which will probably also expect the race conditions or something, things that were problems before that we just haven't seen yet. So I think that's hopefully going to turn out pretty well. The next thing I wanted to announce is that this is also part of the 1.18 release, but that the rolling update on ready feature beta to GA. We have two other features that I think I found some pick up, which will be promoted during this next release cycle. And the last one I want to note was support from 1.18 and 1 updated to 1.0. I found a couple places where I had to just clobber my existing local TF state file because it's incompatible between the old and the new versions. Mark, I think you ran into that the other day also. That was all of my sort of announcement. Stephen, you stuck the next thing on the agenda, so I'll pass it over to you.
Yeah, I thought on the TF state it would upgrade, but I guess not.
There might be a way to do it, but I manually clean stuff up anyway.
Just easier, yeah, I guess for testing.
I think I had in mind the last Terraform version I used was 12, and they were like, now you have to go from 12 to 13, and then you have to give right. And I was just like, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to manually clean up all my stuff and then start again. Just a note on the flaky stuff. I know it's not necessarily on the Kubernetes 1.21, but I just created an issue for the SDK conformance, the C++ one, which is one of the flakes that we have. I think I see a line that maybe may be showing up why that's being a problem. But anyway, I just wanted to have a look at that.
I guess, and maybe it's not so. I mean, it's bad having flaky tests, but at least now we know that they're flaky. And if we discover a bug with the controller, then that's good too, right? So it's kind of just something to get through.
Just frustrating.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean,
easy. Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to fix these tests. It's easy for me to say, but so if you find a broken Node.js one, I'm happy. And then on my site, I did that PR, and of course added the published version, which makes sense. I guess I got another question I didn't write down. Was that what is that because when the PR is merged, the documentation gets published automatically? That's the case.
Yes, that is 100% right. Yeah.
Yeah.
We optimize for making sure that updates to documentation happen as soon as they get created, so that we can continue. We can continually update documentation between releases.
Oh, I see. Yeah. Okay. So there's a benefit to that. Yeah, because I guess it's inconsistent with the releases, but then, yeah, that's how we are. And then, so yeah, naturally, we have to add the published version. But then, does that? I think there were some formatting issues when I did the published version. Well, also like the syntax is really horrible as well. But
that's just templating.
Yeah.
But yes, formatting is a thing. What should we call it? What I was going to say. Yeah, if you try and do it like in the middle of a table or middle of a list, it just gets gross, and you end up having to copy the whole thing.
So then you end up with 2 blocks of documentation. Like if it's a small change, you might duplicate the entire block, and then what happened? Do those stay in because that documentation is for that release version?
We do as part of the checklist for release. We actually do clean that up. So there's an item that goes back. If you ever want to go see one of the PRs, like one of the things we do is we'll go and delete the old blocks and just leave in the new one, so it all gets cleaned up in retrospect.
Okay. Do you just have to search like the manual thing? Okay. And then, but then what about? So is our documentation is not versioned? Like or is it like because we've got that version drop down that you pointed out last time that I was missing.
Yes, it is versioned. There's one bug in it that Robbie found a little while ago that the Kubernetes versions don't line up. Like they should.
Okay.
Slightly ahead. But yes, the documentation is versioned.
But then, I wonder if it's versioned. Couldn't we like have a dev? Basically what you want in main is to be published straight away. Could that go to, or you add an edge version or whatever you want to call it on the documentation, and then we wouldn't need this published version tag anymore?
Well, we have a development version, but that will show stuff that has been released that isn't in an actual release. So we can't, like, if you look in the dropdown, there's a development. So that'll show the stuff for the next release, which may include features that don't exist in the current one.
Yeah. So but I wonder, because you've got a versioning system already for the documentation.
The versioning system is on main release. You'll just take a cut of what the current documentation is and just store it for posterity. That's all it's for. That's all it is.
Yeah, I see.
Yeah. It doesn't get updated or anything. No.
I wonder if there's a way then to say, like, instead of putting all these published version tags throughout everywhere, you could just say, well, whatever's on published there doesn't get published to the latest release. It just gets published into the dev.
What's the difference?
And then you copy. Then you don't have to add published version tags. So everything in main gets automatically added to dev.
But dev might include stuff that isn't released yet, which is a problem because you can't put out documentation for stuff that isn't released because then users are like, "What can't I use it?"
But isn't that what dev is? Stuff that's not released yet. So,
well, if that's the way. So the documentation works. That's why we have the published version stuff, right? The documentation works so that we can update it at any point in time and improve the documentation for what is currently released.
Yes.
Yeah. One example of that is
also being able to add stuff for virtue.
I was going to merge PR to the AKS documentation to add some links, and there's a PR to fix GK documentation to clean up some wording, and so those get published immediately as opposed to waiting until the next week goes out.
Yeah. No. Yeah, I see. Yeah, if it was just new releases, it would be fine. But you want to make existing. Okay. All right. Fair enough.
It's fine. I know.
That was my only point.
That's a good question. Anybody else have stuff to stick on the agenda?
Mostly just tracking flaky tests because I hate my life. trying to get. It seems like a lot of the flakiness now is sitting around auto scaling. Oh, that's a different one. Fleet's not coming up to. Yeah, it's like the fleets are not hitting the right number of things. Like we'll wait for like there to be 10 or 3 or 4 ready replicas, and then it just never hits it. Very strange. I went and did some hunting on that, and I couldn't see anything in the logs. Those particular fleets, like nothing with. I actually wondered, Robbie, if we put extra logging in the most recent area to see if to track and debug in the controller, if you can see specifically why a game server might shift over to unhealthy for any particular reason. And I was wondering if like the game servers are somehow dropping into unhealthy for some reason, but that doesn't seem to be a thing. You know what I might do? It does seem to shift around whatchamacallit. We've got like I see a lot of like stuff where it's waiting for 5 ready replicas. It never ends up coming to something. Like there's just a lot of those kinds of things. I might change that logging so that we can see what the state is of all the game servers, like how many of each type or each state or each one. That might be useful maybe. Sorry, what were you gonna say?
I was gonna say, so sometimes when we're waiting for replica, it either means the computer is like falling behind, like it reconcile fast enough, or it can mean that we're out of capacity. So I think the graph you shared with me yesterday makes it look like capacity. And so I'm, if there's something we can monitor on the controller to make sure that like it's keeping up, like is the controller queue length getting really long, or is the controller like what problems is it getting to? It's causing us to not get the number of replicas.
These have minutes to wait. It seems. I mean, it's possible.
Should be plenty of time,
it's
right?
Unlikely. It should be. So just so
the other thing I was thinking we could do is when these things when they time out, if we could like dump the state of the cluster, basically like here's the pods, here are the fleets, here's what's running on each node.
That's a good idea.
Because then we could back and say like we have, because I sometimes write that manually. Like if a test is running, like and you catch it at the right time, you can go look at it and see what's wrong.
Yeah.
But if we just like automatically set the field,
I like that a lot.
Is like up the state of we might care that. And those are going to be giant logs and kind of painful to go look through and harder than writing shell commands, but we'll get a snapshot.
I have I had thoughts. That's a really good idea. I'm gonna jump on that because this is annoying me.
I guess you don't have access to the once the instance is gone, it's gone. So
yeah, I got access to the logs. Where are we? Just to show you the dashboard because it's interesting, I think. So I built this.
When the test failed, everything up, right? The namespace fleets are, and they don't leave them sitting around because we don't want it to be full for the next test, right? So tests do their best to clean up after themselves. I mean, if you can't see, look like when they failed.
Yeah. So one thing that I've always wondered was whether or not we were maxing out our end-to-end cluster in terms of like utilization. So I created a dashboard in Cloud Monitoring, which I'd never actually done before, and it was fun. And here comes my dog. And so we can actually see, and then if we needed to, we can do alerting, but we can actually see like this shows some nodes. So some nodes get quite full. So when it hits 1, that means like a node is full on CPU allocation. But we can see we've definitely got some nodes that are still have room in them. These are around like 0.5, so these are fine. So I just did a mean across all of them, and this is all max. So we can see, okay, so we usually get to about, per test about 0.4. So we've still got some room. It doesn't seem like we're running out of room in our cluster. It did the same for memory, but memory is like 0.05, so like that's whatever, not a big deal. But at least now we can actually see this, which is super nice.
Quick question, Mark.
Yeah.
Is it possible that we are hitting the number of paths limit on the node? So
well, the
even if we have
scheduler should
room,
take care of that. But oh, that is a. Do you know
It's a
something?
quota.
That is a really good question.
So if we can see the number of paths that are created,
That is a
it's
really
110?
good question. No, yeah, that's legit. All right, that's another. Okay, cool. Where's my pen? I should probably write this down somewhere. I could probably write an issue. That would probably, but that is. You are a smart person.
I was doing some tests on the allocations as well. So I just kind of mingling with few things, so kind of seeing where we are hitting the limits. That's one of the things. And then there's an excellent experimental feature that we can turn on if you allow this set, that we can increase it to 250 paths.
Yeah, all right, hold on. These in the notes because that's actually a good spot for it. So 2 thoughts. Action. In the tests when we wait for fleet state, or any state really, if it times out, dump the entire fleet state to logs, 2 action items, add to monitoring to see if we hit pod limits. That is a really good question. That's a good thought, because it might be. I mean, it might be that like we're getting faster throughput because 1.21 is better, so we're hitting those limits more. That's a good call. I like it. And also, we should just like if we're doing the monitoring, we should check the monitoring.
Yeah. Yeah, I think when you look at if you get Grafana Prometheus metrics, you can see how many paths per node is being allocated. So it can tell you if you are hitting that 110 limit. It does tell that.
Now you ask an interesting question. So it does it in Prometheus.
Yeah.
Can I do it in cloud monitoring? Of course, I could always just access the if we have Prometheus installed. I actually don't know if we do.
I think we installed Prometheus. I'm not sure if it's keep up to date, but I believe on the test, is it the stress test or is it a different cluster? We were using some stress test one for the Agones releases. If that's the one, they should have the Prometheus.
An end-to-end test cluster. Let's have a look.
Yeah, I think they should have it. Right, Robbie?
It has a metrics. It has a metrics node pool.
Yeah, that's. I think it's already set up.
We have a node pool. I don't know if anything's on it. We have it. We have a node pool. We're running a test right
So
now.
I found an issue that last time I tried to install Prometheus, it didn't actually go into the metrics node pool. So that may also be filling up one of our regular EDE nodes if Prometheus is running but not in the right spot.
Ooh, what's going on there? Our allocator service crashed. Oh, yeah, that could just be because we restarted. We have a lot of stuff running. From? No, it doesn't look like we have it, I don't think. Okay, that's something else to consider if I can't do it with cloud monitoring. It's just easy with cloud monitoring because I've got it right here. Plus, we're running a test right now. Yeah, no, it's not there. That is a really good question. All right, I will poke at that.
You might
Can you
be
turn on Prometheus
able to
and
see.
Stackdriver, or do you have to pick one or the other?
We can do both. In fact, we probably have both enabled by default.
Yeah.
Actually,
No, I think
do we
Stackdriver
have?
is disabled by default.
I think Stackdriver is disabled on here. But really, all I need to check on this is pods per node. I don't need to do anything about game servers, so I'm not doing anything
Yeah.
with it.
Yeah, exactly. You just need a pods, number of pods per node. Yeah.
Or node might
That should be maybe available in GKE, right?
Yeah.
As a GKE
Yeah.
method.
All right. That is a legit one. I like that. That was a good call. Fantastic. That's what I want to do. Beautiful. I like that a lot. I mean, I can do that now if we're sitting here if we want.
Is there anything else people wanted to add to the agenda? I've got to go in like 2 minutes.
I'm good.
Yeah, all good for
Keep
me.
it short. Jordan, I know you're in 2 meetings. Did you want to add anything?
Okay, I'm going to drop if you guys want to keep debugging flaky metrics. That sounds great. I'll check out the report later if it keeps going on. Thanks, everyone. Good.
I'm happy to sit here and poke at this, but that's up to you. So, where are we? Kubernetes node. Let's have a look. Total cores, allocatable cores, total inodes, total iMemory. That doesn't tell me anything. Pod maybe? No, I can see just what I want to see is I don't know if I can do this.
So there was a checkbox there. You have to uncheck it. It says only active ones
Which
in the metric.
but
No,
isn't
that's good.
isn't that
No, that's
really
the
what
next
I
one.
want?
So don't.
Because
You
it's
don't
the
have that
end-to-end
method.
cluster. It should be there, right? It should be active. Like these
know,
values should
but-
be active.
Yeah, active might be. I'm not sure what that active means. Maybe currently in that window isn't active. Maybe it's hiding it. That's what I was thinking. I'm not sure.
Yeah. I'll have a look. I look at a node. I would have thought node would have this.
Yeah, number, right? Number of
like
pods.
number of pods, yeah.
Or container count, maybe can be count. Or not some count, pod count.
Yeah.
Or
Should
running
be running
pods.
pods. Running
So
pod
that's a
count?
kubelet. Yeah, maybe. I'm not sure
Maybe.
what's a kubelet.
But it says there's no data, so that doesn't help me.
Yeah, but you
Yeah.
might want to look at maybe a longer window, right? Or are you on the right window?
Yeah, there's a build running like right now.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
no, there's nothing there.
Okay.
All right, we'll go to a 1 day window. And I'll look. See if there's anything. PID capacity, page usage.
What's this total ID?
I might go ask my friends.
I'm not sure if we look for kubelet or not. Kubernetes node. There should be a number of paths over the allocated stuff, right?
Yeah.
How to get Agones? Yeah, so you have something is learning, you should see it.
The running pod apparently is not a thing. Kubernetes container, maybe? Restart count. No. Just how many?
I'll drop out and leave you guys to it. So good luck.
That's all right.
I'll watch the recording.
There's a Kubernetes pod. I'm not sure. Did you see that one? 2 below?
There's pod,
K8 pod.
yeah. All right, bytes received, log bytes, volume capacity, volume usage. Nah, it's just all volume stuff. It's not.
Yeah,
You
why is
think
not
you think
having the
it'd be in
count?
the cluster, but apparently it lies.
Yeah, or in the node,
Right. Yeah. Actually, node would be really useful.
because you have a node,
I can see how many cores we
or
have.
maybe.
Yeah, just I mean that stays the same. That makes sense.
Oh, what are these ones? Are they? These are end-to-end. Okay, the cluster.
I mean, all our nodes have.
Cluster.
Yeah, this is checking
Oh,
how many.
these are node names. These are node names. Okay, these are nodes.
Yeah,
Right?
but it doesn't tell me. Oh, come on.
Can you look at the aggregation one, the
Cube
group wise?
state metrics.
So each of these nodes has 4.
Yeah, that's just how many
Okay.
cores it has.
Oh, of course. Okay. So it's okay.
Yeah, I might end up going to hit our internal discussion stuff.
Yeah.
Because what do I? Because the dash. All right. So how?
When you get dashboard, does it have some out of the box stuff?
Right, so how is I doing these again? So if I look at end-to-end cluster, so this is. This is. I built this yesterday. You think I could remember? So this is Kubernetes node CPU allocation. Okay, so in theory, we want to go by node. All right. I have a bad feeling this is not going to be supported. Which seems straight ridiculous.
Yeah.
And this is where I'm just gonna be like, all right, we're gonna have metrics in cloud monitoring, and then we're also gonna do the same thing in Prometheus and Grafana.
Okay. Because we have some idea.
Yeah. Unless there's another way of doing this, but this is. All right, I don't think this is possible. All right, I'm gonna go ask some analysts.
Okay. I'm gonna drop up to. See
All
you
right.
later, guys.
I'll catch you later.
Yep.